Hey everyone, I'm Roger from NiSi Filters USA, and this is the new NiSi Bluetooth wireless remote shutter control. And it's designed to simplify taking long exposure images with your neutral density filters. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get it all set up so that you can start taking some awesome long exposure shots. When you purchase the NiSi wireless remote, you also need to make sure that you get the correct connecting cord that is specific to your camera's make and model. The ones we have available are listed online. Then you'll also need to download the free NiSi app that's available on the Apple App Store and Android app stores. So once you got that all downloaded, we can go ahead and start the setup process. So let's jump right in. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is connect the camera and the remote together. So you'll take one end, connect it to the camera, you take the other end, and you connect it to the NiSi remote. You're going to see a red light, and in a few seconds, it'll start flashing blue. That means that it's ready to be paired with your phone. Once you see that blue light, go ahead and open up the app. On the top left corner, you're going to see the Bluetooth symbol. Tap on that. Where it says search for devices, if you don't see anything, swipe down on your phone. It'll refresh it, and you'll see NiSi Optics USA. That's the default name for the device. Go ahead and tap on that. It's going to start connecting. Once it's connected, it'll take you back to the main page. At this point, you can actually start using the device and the remote. However, I recommend that you actually rename the device. The reason being, if you find yourself in a workshop where several people are using the exact same device, you might get a little confused as to which one is yours, and you might connect to the wrong one. We don't want that. So to rename your device, tap on the little gear on the top right corner. Again, on the top right, you're going to see name. Tap on that. You're going to see the box that says NiSi Optics USA. Tap inside it, delete NiSi Optics USA, and rename it to whatever you want. Just make sure that it's unique to you. I'm just going to rename it Roger for now. Hit confirm on the top right, and then you're going to see a green circle with a white check mark. You're done. Tap on the left arrow on the top left corner, and it takes you back to the main page. Now you're all set up, you have it renamed, you're connected, and you're ready to start taking some long exposure images. So now let's run through the actual process of taking a long exposure shot. One of the first things you want to do is determine which filter strength you're going to be using. So for this example, we're going to use a 10-stop ND filter. So we'll swipe over to ND 1000, which is a 10-stop ND filter. Then, before attaching the filter to the camera, we want to get a meter reading from the camera without a filter. That's going to be our basic shutter speed. So let's say we're at an aperture of f11 and the camera meters it at 1/15th of a second. That's our basic shutter speed. We'll swipe over to 1/15th of a second. Now, the new exposure time is 1 minute and 8 seconds with the 10-stop ND filter and a shutter speed of 1/15th of a second. Before you tap start, make sure that you set the camera to bulb mode and turn off any autofocus and image stabilization. Once you got all that set, go ahead and attach the filter holder. And tap on start. It'll start the exposure and it'll automatically end the exposure once the 1 minute and 8 seconds are up. Now, the exposure compensation allows you to increase or decrease the exposure time based on the results, or if you want to bracket your shots. So if you like to do a lot of exposure stacking or exposure blending, the app will allow you to bracket your shots to be able to get those stacked shots a lot easier. Rather than having to insert or stack more filters or remove filters, you can do it all within the app. All right, so now we have a few seconds left before the exposure ends, and so you're going to hear it click. The exposure is done. So that is how you take a long exposure image with the NiSi Calculator and Shutter Remote release. Now, we get a lot of questions regarding if this can be used as a regular shutter remote release without having to use it in bulb mode or for long exposures, and the answer is yes, you can. So all you have to do is set the shutter speed on your camera to whatever shutter speed you want. So let's say we want a shutter speed of 30th of a second. So we'll go 30th of a second over here. And then we'll change the settings on our app. So our filter density, we're going to go down to ND2, which is a 1-stop. and we'll change our basic shutter speed to 200th of a second. That's going to give us an exposure time of 100th of a second. This is basically going to allow the camera to control the shutter speed rather than the app controlling the shutter speed. We'll tap on start. It'll take the shot based on the shutter speed selected on the camera. We can go slower or we can go faster. So let's do 200th of a second. We can go slower. We can go below. So let's do 2 seconds. So that's how you do it. It's very simple, very easy to use. So this simple and inexpensive accessory will become an indispensable part of your long exposure photography or photography in general, and it will help take your photography to the next level.